So one of the first questions you might have is whether you need to learn Chinese characters at all. Surely you could save yourself a lot of time and effort by just focusing on the spoken language. I do actually recommend that you learn to carry out basic conversations in Chinese before worrying about the characters. Trying to deal with characters, Chinese tones, a new pronunciation system all on day one of learning Chinese is very difficult. So it is a good idea to get some basic grounding in spoken Chinese before you get too deep into the characters. It's important to get a handle on Pinyin and the tone system and to be able to start constructing words and basic sentences. After the first week or couple of weeks getting this foundational spoken material down though, you will need to get stuck into the characters. The truth is, it's difficult to learn vocabulary as an adult learner without the characters. The only way to be able to speak Chinese without being literate is to be in an environment where you are hearing Chinese all of the time and are able to pick up words orally rather than visually. This is how children learn a language. They hear words in certain contexts and they're able to link these words with meanings and with objects and things. It's possible if you're a child growing up in China. In fact, this is how children learn languages anywhere in the world, by first learning the spoken language and then a few years later the written language. However, chances are you're not Chinese and you probably aren't even living in China, so you won't have the massive amounts of input it requires to start creating these connections. Instead, we can take a shortcut as adults via the written language. We've already mastered the written language of English and maybe a few other languages, and we're able to use this to access written material, which is a luxury that children don't have. It's much easier to get the input that we need to learn a language via the written word and the various tools that we'll be talking about later on, rather than having to hear Chinese every day for 10-15 hours. Remember that a Chinese child has input for 10, 15, 18, 20 years, however long it takes to become totally fluent in Chinese. They have input in Chinese every waking hour, and that's not a luxury we have. But we have the brains of adults and we're able to learn languages in different ways. The way we're going to do that is through the Chinese characters. So the answer is yes, you will need to learn the Chinese characters if you want to get any degree of fluency in the Chinese language.